Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble podcast. Before we start today's build-up, it was made aware to me this morning that channel member, long-time friend of the podcast, and somebody who I consider as a friend, you'll all know her in the comments as Caroline, passed away this morning. Absolutely gutted. I know that every member of the Rabble's gutted, and I know that everybody in the comments and everybody who knew her from the comments are absolutely gutted. So I would just like to send my condolences to Caroline's family at this tragic time. So, so welcome to the Rangers Rabble. We're here obviously to build up to today's Old Firm derby, and I'm joined by Robert and Davey. Robert, how are you?
Listen, absolutely mad for it. No bigger fiction in European football as far as I'm concerned. So I bring it on. Really looking forward to it. Can't wait for it to start.
And Davey, how's your Wi-Fi?
Mate, let's hope it holds up like a Clermont team today and gets us 3 points.
Obviously, we're going to jump into the team lineups and stuff and do all that. Good news. But Robert, your thoughts on today? Just I hate being too overconfident for these things. I'm pessimistic at the best of times. If we're 5-0 up at half time, I still think they're going to come back and either draw or beat us 6-5. That's the mentality I've got for every Old Firm game. So, genuinely, what's your feelings about today?
Listen, just to start, gutted that the game was called off on Wednesday because I just think it would have been fantastic to be sitting top of the league during this winter break. But no, listen, I'm really confident. I'll take the confidence for you. I think we're in good form. Philip Clermont's still unbeaten. He's got his playing with a bit of purpose, bit of intent, which I like. And I just think these are there for the taking. If you can't do it today, when can you do it? So it's up to the boys now. Just go in the park and do their talking on there. We've not won there for a long time, so I think it's about time we put that right.
You along those kind of same lines, Dave? Are you as positive as what Robert is?
Probably somewhere in between the fence of both of you there, Martin. But I think if you look at their back line, and we thought their back line in the first game was a weak point to get it. You look at it the day, Welsh, how much football has he played? And, you look at that back four, Johnson, who I don't think is any great shake, looks himself to think himself was some sort of hard man. But to me, I'm not seeing that. Greg Taylor cannot defend. You turn him inside, you go on the outside, Greg Taylor struggles. And then two of the weakest centre halves that I have seen them play. Now, this can obviously come back and haunt me and bite me in the arse. We're put on a pedestal, but I'm a bit like Robert. I'm up for it. You've got to go for them today. It sends out a massive, signal in terms of intent for the championship, and I'm all for the 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said at the beginning, and we all share Heather's sentiments there as well. John, the Bachelor, the Batch is back again. John, get your comments in when you put in your super chats. Your super chats are greatly appreciated. All the stuff you do for the podcast is greatly appreciated. But make sure and get your comments in and let us know how you're feeling about today's game. Big Dave, 3 points are coming. Injuries, fitness, who cares? Under the new gaffer in this team, we fight for every inch now. And I suppose that is what makes me slightly more confident, Robert, than what I usually am. Not as confident as your dog is hanging off the back of is at the bed there, ready to go. But just about every turn, for any negatives that we had, kind of Clermont's put them to rest for us a wee bit.
Absolutely. Listen, I think in his short tenure, there's only been one moment of potential concern. It was the Cantwell substitution in the European game and how he would deal with that and follow that up. And I think he's dealt with it brilliantly. I watched his presser the other day there, so relaxed. He's laughing and joking with the journalists as well. A man in control. Everyone's eating at the palm of his hand. And rightly so, because he's come in and turned this team into something worth watching, something worth fighting for. With a couple of tweaks in the January window, who knows what could happen. So really important, I think it was to get that League Cup win. It's given us a bit of momentum. I think the media maybe overshot the Motherwell performance because I thought, given the circumstances, we played really well on day, got our work done early. Now, I know as Rangers fans, we kind of think, it's never done till it's 3 until it's 4, but I thought we played well on the day, and it was a professional display. So more of that today. I don't think you can give them any freedom in this park. You need to get in their faces and at them, and hopefully that's the message that he's sending out to the players, as we speak.
Well, I'm going to bring in a man who strikes fear just by the very look that he gives you. Connor, how are you?
Morning, gentlemen. Aye, no bad. Had better starts to my day. Completely forgot that I was actually on this morning, so didn't have anything set up at all. And have been chasing my tail for the last 5 minutes. So, but apart from that, though, battle fever on, as they say.
That's a 6-month verbal warning. That for getting over that. But yeah, we've had another super chat in from David. Win this one for Caroline today, lads. Absolutely 100%. Thank you, David. Yeah. We can now hear from Todd Cantwell, who spoke to Rangers TV ahead of today's game. So let's hear Todd Cantwell's pre-match thoughts.
Heading into this one.
Yeah, excited. We're looking forward to the game. It's an important game for us, but it's more important than any other game. It's important that we come here and we get the result that we're looking for.
Yeah, what's been the message from the manager heading into this game? Has it been a case of just go out and do what you have been shown that you can do?
Yeah, the manager's been really clear. The next game's always the most important, and today it's obviously the Old Firm derby. And like I said there, I think form goes out the window a little bit for this. I think it's really important that both teams know exactly what we're going to give each other, and the plan is to come out on top.
In terms of the environment, what's it like coming here as a player? Obviously, there's no fans here.
Yeah, it's strange with no fans. I'll be honest. It is something that is strange, and I think if I'm being honest, I think the derby would be better if there was fans here. I don't know the ins and outs as to why, but I'd love for that to be the case soon, and to be able to have fans both sides as well. For them to have fans come to our place, because it does create a special environment into even a more.
In terms of the game and the 90 minutes, what are you expecting today?
Yeah, it will be 100 miles per hour like they always are. I think we should take a big lesson from, not so long ago when we played them at home and we won 3-0. I think we should take a lot from that. But obviously the manager's come in and he's highlighted a few things, and there's things that we've been working on that I think could really benefit us today.
And for you as a player, how much do you enjoy these occasions and these kinds of games?
That's why I came. That's why I came to play in the big games, to play in Europe, to play in these sorts of games. You can't get up for these games. You can't get up for any.
I mean, the fact that there was a guy in the background with one of those leaf blower things going as loud as he can just goes to sometimes how petty they are. Look, we'll touch on this once, and then I'll bring up the team and we'll go through the team because we've got plenty of time. Connor, this is something that gets spoke about every Old Firm game. No away fans, limited away fans, etc., etc. Today, no Rangers fans in the stadium. Does it make that much of a difference? Not in terms of atmosphere, but in terms of the Rangers team?
It shouldn't really, because for my money, that should motivate our team just that wee bit more. Because you're going into that Lions Den, you don't have any of your fans there, but you can silence their crowd very, very quickly. I seen that, was it last season? Last time we played there, we're 1-0 down, and Tavernier rocks up and scores an absolute beauty, a free kick. Okay, in the end, it never went well, but how quiet that ground went almost immediately when that ball hit the back of the net. That's what you've got to strive for. I'd also know that, the fans might not be there in person, but they're certainly there in spirit. Every Rangers fan will be watching that game on the TV the day, whether they're in, a bar, whether they're in their house, whatever. So they're still being supported just from afar on this occasion. But it shouldn't affect how we perform. We should just go out there and still play our game as if we did have the fans there. It didn't affect them at Ibrox, so it shouldn't affect us here. Look, it's one of these scenarios that it will continue on for a while, I think. It's particularly disappointing when you see that the Edinburgh Derby had 20,000 fans at it. You get the Hearts fans selling out entire stands because they've been covered enough to actually give each other extra allocation to try and steal some of that limelight from the Old Firm, knowing that you don't get that atmosphere anymore. So look, it needs sorted. Of course, the big difference with this one is that, should be pointed out, is that we offered Celtic tickets for the last game. They refused them. In this game, they have refused to offer us anything, which does go against the SPFL rules. So, of course, they should be held accountable for their clear breach in the rules. Know that 700 fans is much better given that the scale that you're at, but we wanted the tickets, so therefore we should have been offered them.
Sporting integrity and all that, sporting integrity and all that. Davey, could this actually work in reverse for Celtic? Could this be a negative for them? Because, well, I mean, I don't know, but from what I'm hearing, after winning practically everything the last 20 years, some of their fans are having a bit of a flaky. And is there an opportunity here for Rangers to start well, press high, and try and get an early goal? And then if you've got a stadium full of your own supporters who are already on edge, I mean, booing Santa, that this could really, really, really affect them, would they?
Well, that's what it is, Martin. It's an opportunity. If you're a player with the right mentality, then you've got to seize upon that opportunity. The one thing that I do think we have is we have the manager that has that mentality, and you hope that feeds through to the players. What I do think Clement will find out today is he'll find out who's on side with him. And if the players are there to grasp it, you don't mind going down as long as you go down fighting. And whilst we want to win, you can respect it.
Robert, you can respect that, and Davey's Wi-Fi let them down, so I will let you finish that point.
No, listen, he was in full flow there as well. I think he's just echoing the fact that the manager said yesterday, listen, we're gutted that there's not an atmosphere for both sides in these fixtures anymore. However, I thought it was quite telling when the manager said, this is stuff that's going on above my head. Now, I'm indicating that might mean the guys that work above him are saying are dealing with that. So, as he said, the game's one in the park. It's no one in the stands. As long as the players carry out his instructions, then we should do absolutely fine today. I've got no concerns about that at all. But it's sort of sticking to your job. You're going to need all 11 guys buying into it. If you're pressing as a team. It's just got to be perfect. It's really got to be perfect.
It certainly does. And on that, talking about teams, we shall discuss today's team. Okay, so it is Jack Butland in goals. It's a back four of James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, Leon Balogun, and Ridvan Yilmaz. It's a midfield three, Sterling, Lundstram, Cantwell. And then it's a front three of McCausland, Seema, and of course, Cyril Dessers. Connor, how does that team tickle your fancy?
I've got to say it looks a lot better than I feared it might. Obviously, there were question marks over Goldson and Lundstram throughout the week there. We weren't sure whether they'd make it. It's one of the things I think the game against County getting postponed probably helped me in terms of that, because I reckon if had that game happened and either featured in it, they probably wouldn't be playing today. So, no, I think I like the look of that lineup. It's for where we are just now with the other injury problems we've got. I think it's as strong as we could put out, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Lundstram and Sterling in that midfield with Cantwell, no problem with that at all. I think Sterling's been absolutely terrific since he came into that midfield fold. Lundstram, obviously, good to see him on. I suspect he might not play out the full 90 minutes, John Lundstram. I think you could see that change happening, another 70 minutes into the game. Maybe you bring on Kieran Dowell, or, I don't know. Because, again, he's won after his performance against Motherwell and obviously the goal. You might have thought he'd have had a sniff at getting in today, but you've got to go, I think, with that strong a lineup as you can get, because these guys have been in the squad longer than he has, really. So they deserve that start today, and just hope among hope that Dessers is the Real Betis Dessers today, as opposed to other less good versions of him that we've seen for quite a lot of this season. Because we're going to need to get a couple of goals. I know to be fair, the last Old Firm game, I thought he played okay, Cyril Dessers. he'd have had an assist to his name if it wasn't for some questionable officiating. So if he can go and play...
We'll come to officiating very soon, don't you worry.
Oh, no, I'm sure we will, but I'm just saying, if he can play like he did the last time, I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm sure we will get the goals that we require.
Let's start with the defence. Davey, Balogun, I think, on recent form was a no-brainer. The left back, we'll come to the left back in a minute. Obviously, Tav at right back was always going to happen. Connor Goldson, if we start with him, Davey, obviously there's been a bit of injury talk surrounding Connor, along obviously with Lundstram coming back. But if we just stick with Connor, would you rather go with a 50, 60, 70% Connor Goldson than see Balogun and Suter in there?
Well, to be honest with you, Connor Goldson over his period at Rangers has been, hit or miss. But I think Connor Goldson really comes to the fore when he's not in the team. That's when we all miss him. And I think he is the leader at the back, and he's the glue that solidifies us all together. When he is missing, it is a big miss. And certainly for me, I think, the combination of him and Balogun has surprised me. Balogun has really come onto a game beside him, and the two of them look very strong. We're not conceding many opportunities, never mind goals, since the two of them's played together. So for me, it's a massive positive and a shot in the arm going forward into today's match.
The only reason I bring that up, Robert, is, and by the way, it's terrible, but and I know that one of you told me the Celtic team before we started, but I forgot. So if Kyogo starts up front, which I believe he is. Yes, Kyogo's starting. Kyogo's a worry for me, and I'm not going to sit here and lie. Kyogo for me is an extremely good striker. Right? He's quick. He's lethal in the 6-yard box. So, Robert, I want my two centre-backs to be fully at it, and I want them to be as fit as they possibly can be getting into this game, because you cannot give that guy any space in the box. And my only worry is how fit is Connor?
No, listen, I think you are right to have concerns there, but let's get it right. Kyogo's not been the player he was last season so far this year. I think he might be tied with Dessers on goals this year, so there's not much in it there. He's playing maybe a slightly different position, some fans will tell you, but I think that's the best pairing we've got. It's the one the manager seems to favour. As Davey alluded to before, since Balogun's come in up at Dens Park, he's been really good. Barring maybe a wee moment up at Pataudry, but certainly I think that's the best pairing we've got. Balogun looks quick as well. See, even at 35, he looks like the fastest centre-back we've got, which is quite startling to believe. But no, I've got no concerns at the back. Maybe Redvan coming in and staying in is one that maybe shocked a few, because I think that on last night's show we were sort of debating whether Barisic was going to be in or out. I think if Barisic had been fit, I'd have probably picked him, but that's maybe another podcast on its own. I'm just delighted Lundstram's back in, Martin. Absolutely, I think that's so key. I think he's been a revelation since Clement came in. He's been the most improved player in the squad, and without him today, I would have had slight concerns. But the fact he's in the team just gives me that swagger. I'm ready for it.
Connor, we'll come to Lundstram in a wee second, because again, that's another worry of mine. And I'll explain why, by the way, before everybody starts jumping at me in the comments. But Yilmaz in, obviously, at left back corner. I might be one of the few people. I don't know if you can maybe say whether you agree or whether you disagree, Connor. I like Yilmaz. I think he's a smashing left back. I do. We had this conversation last night on the preview. So what? He's 5'8" or whatever. He's the same height as me. I'm not buying into this. He's too wee nonsense. I've seen 6'1" defenders being caught out with a cross at the back post. I'm more than happy with Radvan Yilmaz starting.
Listen, I don't have a problem with him starting. I think his height's a much of a muchness. I mean, I'm the same as yourself, Martin. He's the same height as me. I'm at 5'8", and I'm a goalkeeper at that height. So if I can play in goals. Well, there you go. So, what I mean? If you can be a goalkeeper at that height, why on earth can you be a left back? It's... I think it's a madness. It stems to the fact, obviously, he gets sort of caught under it against Hearts at Ibrox a while back when Shanklin scored that header. But, that happens with, what height is Barisic? That happens with him all the time as well. How many crosses has he been caught out with? I think reality is Borna Barisic has not been anywhere near at it this season. Even since come in, it's hard to say there's been many improvements in Borna. If we're being brutally honest, he just looks knackered. Basically, it looks like he's sort of ran his race at Rangers now. And I think having Ridvan there, me personally, I think Ridvan, the wee man's done brilliantly. When he's been in, look, he's had one or two sloppy moments, but overall over the piece, you can't deny how good he's been and the energy he brings as well. Because actually, he'll be a real handful and a threat going down that sort of left hand side with that pace he's got. They'll have a back line that's slightly cobbled together today because of their injuries that they've got. So, go and take them on there. Go and fucking put Greg Taylor in his arse, which I'm sure Ridvan is capable of doing. So, no, I think the whole height thing it really means nothing to me because I think he's good enough to be in that starting lineup.
Listen, I completely agree. And as Stephen said, Ridvan is also allowed over the halfway line. But for me as well, I think, and again, football is all about opinions, folks. So get yours in, and I will try and read out as many as I can. But for me, Davey, he's also a better defender.
Well, I'll counter the argument. I think since Seamus played his best stuff with Borna behind him, I think they're more succinct as a team. I still think that there's room for improvement in terms of how Ridvan and Seema link up together. But I think the one positive that you've got with being Ridvan is you're going to be allowed the opportunity to go and play and run with the ball because Seema will cover you. Seema's a workhorse. So when Ridvan fancies a run at it, that's what I think will go in his favour. Defensively, he has been caught out of position a couple of times. I think more so with the ball in behind. I've seen him caught with a diagonal ball a couple of times. It's just something that I've noticed. So it's something that we need to be wary of. But I think he's
what, Robert?
I'm like Davey's right hand man here. Listen, I gave you what Davey was going to say there because see, for part, the one where I don't know if was it Spencer tried to get the penalty, and I kind of thought Ridvan kind of just let him run in off his shoulder, didn't see him kind of. Ridvan's a better defender. I think Ridvan is at his best. See when he's driving, comes inside over the halfway line, starts driving in with the ball. I think that's when you see him come to life. So I agree with what Davey says. We do need to see a better understanding between him and Seema if that's going to be the pairing moving forward. But I do think in the summer we're going to need one left back, if not two, because I don't think either of those boys are going to be at the club. But that's just my thoughts on it. Listen, he's in today. Who's he going to be up against? Louis Palmer. So it's not going to be an easy afternoon for him because he's arguably been their best summer signing. I think he scored the other week there as well. So, as I say, it's not going to be an easy afternoon for him, but he's just got to take it in his stride. And these are the games where you make your name for yourself as a Rangers player. See if you can't do it in the big games against Celtic, you're going to be no good to us.
Is the weather a worry, Robert? I came down the stair and I was checking my phone, not for you, obviously, But I seen something about pitch inspections, right? And I came down and I said to my missus, "What's the weather like?" And she was just back in, and she said, "It's absolutely fine." And I looked out the window and it was snowing. Is that going to be a factor today at all? Oh, and by the way, as our very own Ian says, as it's snowing heavily, do we need an orange ball?
There's definitely never an orange ball inside Celtic Park. I'm not. I cannot see that for the life of me. So, listen, they're going to have to play the conditions. Certainly, it's going to be the same for both teams. I don't know what the park's going to look like. You heard the leaf blower out, so whether that was blowing away snow, you'd like to think. So it's just going to have to see how it plays out. I think you can't have these excuses, and I don't want to be sitting here at the end of the game and be like, "Oh, we know the snow cost us."
Why are we not allowed excuses? They're allowed hundreds of them. Why are we not allowed excuses?
That's not how we roll. We're Glasgow Rangers. Do you know what I mean?
No, but
it's fun. And just do it properly, Martin. So no, I just think somebody's correcting me. Tab plays on the left, so he'll be. No, Palmer, my Aid will play on the left. Surely, well, he'll be Taverniers' problem. See me at full time with that, Stephen. We'll talk about that at full time. But no, sorry, I don't think that the weather will be an excuse, though. Certainly not.
No. Most likely not. Now, Connor, the reason that I asked Robert that ridiculous question was it so that I could come to you with Lundstram, because I seen how excited Robert was about Lundstram, right? And I thought we're going to have another Bruno incident on the couch here. So I thought, no, Connor, I'll come to you. And look, I don't know if it's just because I've got back into the old Football Manager, right? I don't know if that's got something to do with it, but more so with Lundstram, I think, than Goldson, because Goldson would play at 20% fit, and you probably wouldn't notice, right? The injury that Lundstram had looked a bad one, and I say this, and folk are going to jump down my throat in the comments, right? I just worry that he's been brought back in far too early because simply of the importance of this game, and if he has been brought back in too early, then he's susceptible to further injury, and B, we won't get the performance that we want to see out of a John Lundstram, and I fear that to get the performance that we want to see out of a John Lundstram, he has to be as close to fully fit as possible.
Yeah, we're just looking at the head shaking for Rabble there. I'm hoping he doesn't.
Why I went to you, Connor. That's why I went to you.
I hope he doesn't stand up with the excitement, because we could all be in for an eyesore.
Sorry, you
You know, I mean, yeah, I think your concerns are correct, really. I mean, it did look like a nasty one that he took against the Johnson. I didn't think he would be playing at all today, if I'm being honest with you. I just thought with the noises that were coming out, it wasn't sounding great. With him being back in, you know, in the conditions, it's like I say, I'll be amazed if you get 90 minutes out of him. I just hope that what doesn't happen is we don't end up with a Kemal Roof type situation where, you know, he's on and then after 20 minutes, you know, or less than that in Kemal Roof's case, he's having to come off because he can't go any further, because it is a big game and you want your best players back for those games. And it's unquestionable that Lundstram has been, you know, really the glue that's been holding our midfield together for months now, whatever connotation that is taken, because he's had umpteen different partnerships round about him in that period of time due to injuries, and he's been the one mainstay. So he is important, but, you know, has he then, as you say, been rushed back? I think time will tell. I think first sort of few minutes of the game, his first involvements, we'll see, because I'll tell you one thing that Celtic will do is they'll identify that as a potential weakness. They'll recognise that he is only just coming back off what looked like a nasty injury, and they'll maybe put one or two on him just to kind of test that out and see how he holds up under it. So we've got to be mindful and a bit careful of that, because that's the nature of this game as well. You'll pick any weakness you can find and you'll try and exploit it, and that's what they'll do. Listen, I think he'll be fine. I think the ultimate thing with Lundstram is he's a bit of, a big lad, and he knows how to handle himself on that park. He's dished out just as good as he's got in terms of some of the bad tackles that we've seen. And I think he'll be okay. I certainly hope he will. But the challenge was always going to be if he didn't play, who are you going to throw in there? I mean, it would have probably been in the midfield three of Dowell, Sterling and Cantwell. Would have probably been the starting three if he was injured. But that maybe doesn't fill you with as much confidence as seeing him in there alongside the other two does.
No, it doesn't. But Robert, the reason I asked that question, right, is because it's going to be McGregor and O'Reilly in the middle of the park for Celtic. So it's McGregor and O'Reilly effectively against Lundstram and Sterling, and that midfield battle is always mega important in these games, especially with the way that Rodgers, I forgot his name, especially the way Brendan Rodgers plays. My stepson keeps telling me that he's fed up with Brendan Rodgers' tactics of side to side to side to side to side. That's the way they play. So that midfield battle is going to be integral, and I've seen hundreds and hundreds of comments that you stop McGregor, you stop O'Reilly, you stop them. And that's why I want as fit a midfield as possible.
And you're absolutely spot on. I mean, I listened to the boys last night. Ross Clark made a good point about the 3-0 game and how Cantwell sat and McGregor stopped him playing, and they obviously capitulated. I know, in the grand scheme of things, it meant nothing but a win on the day. But you know, you listened to the manager a couple of days ago. He was clear in his message, and he said there'll be no silly risks taken with players. We've got a season ahead here. He hammered on about his marathon analogy. He's not letting that one go, is he? So I don't think, you know, we've not got a bluffer here. This is a straight talking man. If Lundstram wasn't ready for this game, he would not be in it. I'm confident of that. And do you know what I love, by the way? The turnaround in the fans to John Lundstram 3 months ago. Don't give him a new contract. Today, he's a Terminator. He's wiping out Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I just love that. You know, Lundstram's taking on a sort of a new kind of role in the squad, in the sense that he's playing forward a lot more. He's playing quicker as well, which I must highlight. And he seems to be taking on a bit more responsibility. He's pulling players about. He's getting in players' ears. And I love to see that. It's what we've been missing from him. So he looks rejuvenated. He looks hungry. And I agree with what Connor says. Like, he's going to be so important to the battle today. He's going to have to be a leader out there. And I'm sure he'll thrive in that. He looks like he's in a good place at the moment.
He does. And Robert, sticking with you, Paul has put in actually a good comment. Thank you, Paul. How big is this game for Cantwell? Todd is always capable of, well, not just a magic pass, a magic run. He can score goals. What's his role today, Robert?
A good question. How do you get the best out of him? How do you get the best out of him? Do you give him a sort of a free role? Is he gonna have to occupy
advanced playmaker?
Is he gonna have to occupy Bernardo? Because talking to Davey, I know Davey's gone now. But talking to Davey before the game, he said Bernardo was going to be seen sitting and McGregor was going to be allowed to push on. So he put Cantwell on Bernardo to maybe stop him playing. I don't know, as I say, but I just think that it's important to get Todd on the ball as much as possible. For that, the comment that the callers just said there. Sorry, the caller. The fans just said there. The fans just said there about, you know, he can make a pass at him, and he's somebody you want in the park. We spoke at length over the last few weeks about, you know, Lammers and Cantwell, and Lammers being put in the 10 and Cantwell having to be put elsewhere. You finally got him playing in his right position, and he seems to be thriving as well. So long may that continue, and he's going to have to be the one that sort of gets Dessers in behind as much as he can.
I mean, get your comments in, and let us know what you think of get the calls. Are you stuck on Monday night phoning? Is that what you're stuck on?
That's me.
Ever the professional as well, Robert, isn't he? Ever the professional.
Whatever makes you pitch to steal Gordon Duncan's job at Clyde once at the scoreboard, I'm telling you.
I'll tell you something right now, I'd have him in over Gordon Duncan any day of the week. Any day of the week. Motherwell fans just don't do it for me, Connor. They really... People who get on their Motherwell fans because they support other teams don't do it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, aye.
But it's funny how they always pretend to be Motherwell fans, isn't it? Connor, if you can answer my question then that Robert couldn't, what is Todd Cantwell's role? What's his agenda? What's the manager telling him to do today? Because he is one of, if not our most attacking threat. One of them, but he is the man who can make the magic happen. So does he have a balanced role today? Has he got a more defensive role? Has he got a more attacking role? I want you to tell me, what's Clement told him today? And don't bullshit me, Connor.
I mean, unless you're a fly in the wall in that dressing room, I'm not entirely sure. I would like
what I pay you for. Really don't know what I pay you.
I think... no, I'd like to think that he's going to have a more sort of balanced role. I think, especially because we've seen before, and I suppose, you know, maybe the relationship is getting better because of it, that Clement is very clear when he gives his instructions, he expects them to be followed. And that occasion when Cantwell basically just patched him, he got hooked. As in taking off the pitch, no punched, although that might have happened in the changing room.
Big smile on your face there when you said punched, I'm just saying.
Well, you know, just the thought of punching a few people. But no, I think it will have to be that. I think you need him to be balanced in a game like this, because if he goes too far in terms of, I'm just going to attack constantly, I'm just going to be constantly sitting forward, then that can create somewhat of an issue in terms of you need a good bit of track back as well in that midfield, because if we're going to control the midfield area, which I think is the most important area in this game, I mean, you touched on it there about, you know, controlling McGregor, O'Reilly, can we do that if everybody's cohesive in that midfield and understands, the roles that they're all going to play, and are getting back and forward? I suspect as well that, you'd like to think conversations will have been had with him about not doing anything silly in a game like this, because, listen, Cantwell is a phenomenal player with the technical ability that he does possess, but he does have, one or two wee moments in him of just...
He has that other side.
Yeah, and he's got to keep that curtailed today. He can't be, diving and all the rest of it. You can leave that for Kyogo. He'll do plenty of that for both sides, I'm sure. And he can't even get himself over involved because...
Well, he's no shy of a tackle, Connor.
No, and listen, I don't mind that as long as he stays within the bounds. He can certainly throw himself about a bit and let them know they're in a game. That's what you do. But he's got to keep himself in, within the boundaries and no overstepping that line. And he's also got to make sure he doesn't overreact to things, because we've seen through the years, and in recent years in particular, with the likes of Morelos, for example, one of the things that a lot of Celtic players aim to do is go and wind our players up, because they see them, if they identify somebody as an easy target, we'll go and wind him up and get him sent off the park. I mean, that's what Scott Brown's job was in Old Firm days, was get Rangers players sent off.
Scott Brown's job was to make sure that he had shaved every inch of hair off his head, so it looked like
and
he was
that
bald,
as well, yeah.
and he was never bald.
So we just can't get ourselves caught up in that. And Cantwell, ironically, well, funny enough, since then, Cantwell's the only player in our squad that I have that concern over, that he could get himself caught up in something silly. So I think that'll be the key for him as well. Just go out there and, do your talking with the ball at your feet, realistically. You don't need to get involved in anything silly, because the best way to put their noses in it and sit them down is go and win the game. Go and play well, go and score goals.
The best way to put their noses in it simply is just to go and win the game. There's no other ifs, buts or maybes. And if we do that today, then the sale of Sharks is going to go absolutely through the roof. Just quickly, Robert, big game for Sterling. He has come in and done a fantastic job since he's been in, but this is, regardless of how we joke and laugh, this is a step up. Maybe not for Betis right enough, but this is a step up in terms of the league.
Listen, it's different gravy, isn't it? It's going to be an absolute cauldron in there. You'd imagine they've got the ultras back in and all the rest of it, as much support as they can get for this one. So, you just, hopefully everyone just keep this, as Connor said there, keep the heat, play your game, because he's definitely a talent. We've brought him in for a number of full-back positions or along the back line, should I say, and he's slotting in this midfield and thriving as well. So, box to box, big athlete. So I'm expecting big things from him today, but you're expecting it from them all. If we can just divert slightly to wee McCausland, because I think
I was just about to go there, Robert. I was just about to go there.
Just because a wee point made last night about him having maybe too much of a run of games, and whether the new boy Silva was going to come in and play that position. And I have to agree, without jumping on his back, I think he maybe does need a wee bit of time off out the side, because he's lost that wee bit of, shine that he had maybe 3 or 4 days into it. So it'd be good if he can get at it today and get back in the, whether it's an assist or a goal or something, just to give him that lift again and give him that self-belief.
Big Rangers fan, Connor, grew up in every way a Rangers supporter. Has made his way into the team when I don't even think he expected that he was going to make the Rangers team. Has came into the team and performed well, but has also done what young players do when they first come into a first-team squad, whether they're 17, 16 or 20, but they're still young players. They come in and they have ups and they have downs. But for me, if I was told at 20 years old, after breaking into the Rangers team and I didn't expect it, that you're going to start at their place and we're going to put some serious pressure on them if we win, then I'm up for that game more than I'm up for any other game in my life.
100%. Without question. This is the big moment for him. It's probably the biggest game in his career thus far. Okay, maybe look at likes of Betis and stuff like that. That certainly would be up there, but
this is different.
This is different gravy. You're talking a young guy who's grew up die-hard Rangers fan. He's living the dream that the three of us, everybody in the chat, we'd all have loved to, in another universe, have donned the famous royal blue and walked out for an
Possibly not everybody in the chat, Connor. Possibly.
Yeah, well, yeah, most people in the chat who are, on the right side of the city will have had that dream. And he's getting to live it. And I'm telling you, I think he'll relish it. Look, he's a young lad. There's definitely, improvements in his game that you could pick up. I think he's,
Connor, sorry, just to jump in there, isn't that right with the boy in the comments today? It's the tracky backy that you mentioned before. That's where the concern comes in, because he's been caught out a couple of times now, no helping Tavernier out. Now, whether Tavernier's going to be in his ear all week saying, you're going to need to help me out in this game, wee man. You're going to need to get back as much as you can as you're going to get forward. So that's the area of concern, I think, from the punters in the comments. And
for me, though, my adrenaline at 20 years old going into a game at their place, when I never expected I would ever make it at Rangers, is it would get me through 6 games running at full pelt. So I don't think there shouldn't be, especially after Betis, Connor, any issue with the supporting runs back as well as going forward.
No, there shouldn't be, and then that's obviously coming to. I think that's an aspect today. As Martin says, I think that the sheer adrenaline of it, and the fact that you can't not be up for this game if you're McCausland today. You just can't be. So you'll see that running the day. I think we'll see that tracking back. Yes, he's got to continuously do it and understand. But look, that's the foibles with young players. You're not going to get the finished article. You're going to have that. Well, maybe doesn't track back as much. Or I think his end product could be a little bit better at times. I think sometimes he gets himself into great areas. He can dribble by players, and then that last wee, whether it's the shot or the cross in the box, isn't always absolutely on the money. But you know what he's capable with. We've seen him, with the goal he scored against Aris, for example. So he's got that in the locker. But I don't think there'll be any problem in tracking back today. I think he'll be wanting to get stuck right into it.
Also, sorry, Connor, because we're rushed for time, but also going forward, he's against, is it Greg Taylor he's against?
Yep.
So that, it may come back to bite me, as everything that we say on this may come back to bite us, but I think there's better left backs in other teams in the country than Greg Taylor. So I think that's maybe a wee brucey that he's got. It may come back to bite him in the arse, however, but that's just how I feel as we sit here right now. And Robert, Sima, we don't need to talk about. We all know Sima. Sima can either be on his game or off his game, and when he's on his game, by God, is he on his game, and I hope he is. Cyril Dessers, Robert, there is no cover for centre forward on the bench. I've looked, in fact, I'll read the bench outright. I've looked several times, but McCrory, Sutter, Lammers, Cifuentes, Matondo, Dowell, Scott Wright, King, and Devine. So you're maybe only talking Lammers that can play in that centre forward position. And I know that some people's ears will have started bleeding now that I've said that, but it's pretty much Dessers, Dessers or nothing.
Yeah, I think he'll get the full game, to be brutally honest with you, unless anything happens to him injury-wise. I've been very vocal about the boy since he came in, and maybe his lack of any real quality. But I think maybe over the last few games we've seen a bit more from him. Obviously, the goal in Betis was a bit of a turning point, and I think at Motherwell, obviously, could have got so much more if he'd just been a wee bit more switched on instead of going that tiny wee bit.
Do you think he's learned the offside rule now, Robert?
Well, I'm sure somebody put in there about McCausland the manager won't let McCausland make the same mistake twice. Well, maybe he's had a word with this about staying on side. Because it's small margins there, Martin. Do you know what I mean? In terms of getting in and getting a couple of goals.
And in fairness as well, Robert, though, is it not also our players releasing the bottle a bit sooner? It's not just always on Dessers.
But see, when you're the whipping boy and you're the Rangers number 9 and you're no scoring the goals, it will always be about you, won't it? So that's what he's got to learn. And I just think he looks a bit more relaxed of late. I think there's probably been 5-6 weeks ago, he looked like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. And listen, a goal in these games just puts you right into the history books, and you can, you'll have a bit more about him moving forward. So he's all we've got. I don't even think the guy we brought in, Silva, I don't think he's going to play in a striking role from what I've heard on the pod that was released all night. So it's all about Dessers until we get someone else in.
No, listen, that absolutely is. There's some comments, by the way. you know, some of these comments keep me going through these podcasts, and it's always poor Robert that gets it.
Some of the comments keep my solicitor very, very busy.
I have seen a few comments, Connor, and this is the kind of the last point before we wrap this up, because it's like 12 minutes to go until kick-off. But I've seen people use Lammers and Eric Bo Anderson in the same sentence.
Well,
in fact, are you old enough to know who Eric Bo Anderson is?
Yes.
I doubt that. No.
Well, I couldn't tell you the ins and outs of his career, no, but I am aware that he is somebody who unfortunately has a rather infamous miss to his name. Among other
that's
Van Vossen.
Eric Bo Anderson scored against these.
Eric Bo Anderson came on and scored a double in a 3-1 win.
Was that Van Vossen?
Van Vossen, I will keep you right, Connor. You're all right.
We'll keep you right, Connor. Don't you worry.
That's all right. You know, but people need to know you've got your pension to collect as well on Tuesday.
No, Eric Bo Anderson didn't score a lot, but Walter Smith brought him on in a game that was one each, and he came on basically and scored 2 goals. So that's why folk are using him and Lammers in the same sentence, Connor. So I'll take that to you, Robert, because Connor looks as if he wants to throttle me.
What was the question? Sorry.
Anyway.
What was the question?
There was no question. Folk were just comparing Eric Bo Anderson with Lammers.
I think that's a disservice to the Danish legend. So Bo Anderson's out there on his own. He scored 2-0 from. Until Lammers does that, the people need to wash their mouths out. Connors the Van Vossen in this pod.
I think you'll find that distinction, certainly in this pod, should be gone to the man who is no longer on your screen right now.
No, it's still you.
David, Oh, do you know what? That's a great idea. Get the punters to put us as Rangers players. I love that. Absolutely love that. It's brilliant.
So how big today, Connor, is it then for the manager himself? First Old Firm game, we've seen previous managers that in the first Old Firm game they've really struggled. They've maybe made decisions that they wouldn't normally make. And to be fair to Gerrard, he kind of sorted that quite quickly after the first one. Michael Beale. I don't know what else to say there. But I said this last night, Clement. Somebody's asked us to stop using the word, but I'm going to use it. Different gravy.
Well, look, I think ultimately it is, but you know, Clement is a proper manager. There's no getting away from it. I think when you look at Gerrard and you look at Michael Beale,
who?
Gerrard and Beale.
I thought you said Gerrard.
No, that was your imagination. What is going on in this podcast, honestly?
9 minutes to go. When
you look at Gerrard and Michael Beale, right, they come in. Gerrard is an inexperienced manager who had only been at youth levels, did step up and eventually did get results against Celtic, of course, won the league. Michael Beale, we all know what he was. You know, if we're talking about gravy, then
that's some record for Peter Van Vossen, isn't it?
It's not bad, is it? You know, but I think if we're using the gravy analogies, then if Philip Clement is good old classic Bristol gravy, then Michael Beale was sort of as the smart price.
Lidl's own.
Lidl's own. It's at the end of the day, this is a huge test for Clement, but it's one that he'll be absolutely up for. You know, I know it's different circumstances and stuff, but reality is we went away to Betis. They hadn't lost at home all season long. They had been in some form, and we managed to get a result over the line against them. That's the mentality we're going to this game with as well. We can get a result here. We can absolutely win this game. I mean, look, Hearts beat Celtic 2 weeks ago at Celtic Parkhead. Sorry, Wolf. And I'm sure, I know that it's different because it's an Old Firm and they'll be up for it. But, you know, we can get a result today, no problem at all. And it's important that we do because we didn't play the other day. So, you know, psychologically, if they win, they can go 8 points clear, which with 2 games in hand isn't really 8 points, but you know what that can do. So, you know, because I kept hearing this nonsense in the last couple of days about, well, there's the fact that Rangers didn't play and they can't go top now. That takes pressure off Celtic, because the media are always trying to take pressure off Celtic in these games. It doesn't. They're still under as much pressure, because we win the day, then it's 2 points with 2 games in hand, and everything is firmly in our control at that point. And I'm sure that the manager will be utterly relishing that challenge today.
Well, if he wasn't, I'd be worried. I would hope that our manager would be relishing that challenge. And just on that challenge then, Robert, prediction?
Listen, in love and memory of Caroline, I'm going to go 2-1 Rangers. Connor Goldson to score first.
Connor?
I will go for 2-1 Rangers also, but I'm going to go for Dessers to score first.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Caroline. I'm going to go 2-1 Rangers, Connor Goldson to score first. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back shortly after full time. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Get your notifications on so you know exactly when we are going to be live. And again, just everybody at the Rangers Rabble wants to pass on their sincere condolences to Caroline's family. She fought courageously for a long time with illness, and unfortunately passed away today. So everybody at the Rangers Rabble sends their thoughts, and she will not be forgotten. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and we shall see you for hopefully a very positive post-match reaction.